Hello guys, welcome back to another episode review of Hollyoaks for Tuesday 16th of December 2025. Poor Donny, I don't know what to think now as a viewer because I really liked him, and he's now very much almost a villain or like a shady character. Misbah's trying her best. Misbah just wants a normal life, and I'm not really enjoying this storyline where Donny's got, he had a shady past, fair enough, but now he's being controlled and manipulated by this Sully, and this Sully seems to have a lot of control over him. Is it really believable? That's questionable, to be honest. And the fact that Donny's just going along with it doesn't make any sense, especially when Sully handed that cash over in the previous episode for turning the other cheek when they were going to chase the heist. Just because that they're under camera, the camera clearly sees that Sully's passing the money bag to Donny. And Donny didn't have to accept it. All Donny could just take the bag from him and report it to the chief. Again, a lot of things, I know it's make-believe soap, but at the end of the day, a lot of things should have some mundane, some sort of realistic storylines. Being it as is a soap, it is meant to be a mixture of a bit of fairy tale and a bit of realism as well. And the fact that, in Donny's house and Misbah's house, he stashed the money under the sink, which was a very bad idea. And then the Vicky accidentally knocked over the little strip, the panel that covers the sink unit. I forgot what that's called. Remind me what it is. But when that came over, they were just revealed. Misbah knew there's something shady under there, and then everyone just looking at each other. The whole family just looking at each other. Everyone was having a good time as well. Misbah and Donny were having a good time. Dylan, Vicky were just washing up and just playing around with each other. You got Gemma being happy as well, but unfortunately happiness doesn't last in soapland, which is something that I always strive to see as a viewer being changed. Writers do need to change this phenomenon that always there needs to be a miserable household. There should be both good times and maybe, yes, sometimes bad times to see how characters deal with problems and go through life, etc., but not everything has to be bad. And there can, I suppose what I'm trying to say is there can be 1 week at least where everyone's having a good time. It doesn't have to be an every other day thing where someone messes up in the family, etc. And obviously Donny, in the end, he's with that money that he won, where him and Gemma tried to have his back, concocted a story that he won that on the gambling or whatever. Obviously Misbah doesn't like gambling, but it's better than him being a corrupt police officer. If you compare the two worse, one's the lesser of evil, I guess. And then he's using some of that money now to basically solicit with a lady of the night, to say kindly. He flashed his lights at her, and then she came to the car and he paid her, and then just before they're about to do the deed, Sully pulls over. I think Sully must have Donny's car tracked, because there's no way that Sully just knows his whereabouts out of nowhere, especially in the night times. Sully must have it tracked, and obviously on the map he would see where the hot zones are for crimes and stuff. So and Sully's, again, he's, as a viewer, for me, I'm not really warming to his character. I know he's obviously playing some sort of villain, but even then we had villains before in the past, like Brendan Brady. Everyone loved him, even as a villain, because the storyline was good, the acting was good. We bought it as viewers. With the Sully, I'm just not buying it, and also the fact that he's being obsessive. I don't know, I would like to use the word obsessive lightly, because I don't think he shows the obsessiveness, but he's so into Frankie. The fact that he's killed her brother is absolutely diabolical. And like I said, it's a pure control mechanism. Frankie really needs to be careful. I just hope they give Frankie a break. She doesn't need to keep having problem after problem, especially when it comes to men. She's had the worst time of her life, growing up, teenage, adolescence. Just let her breathe now. Just a message to the writers. They're doing that with Vicky. Vicky's having a normal life now, because don't forget, she was also kind of taken advantage by Grace. She was a drug mule, made into a drug mule before, but now she's leading somewhat a normal life. But for some reason, Frankie, they're just not doing that. And Dylan is a bit of hit and miss, because Dylan's going through stuff with Lucas, and also he's getting involved with Lucas's dad, which is just it's just a really messy character at the minute. But he's, obviously they get away with it because he's single technically, and Steve's single. So again, I'm not saying it's right, but that's what the characters are saying to each other. Yeah, but Vicky, I quite like what they're doing with Vicky. Just let her breathe for a couple of years, and then see where her character takes her. Misbah obviously is giving Donny a lot of chance after chance. Warren, he's trying to find this blackmailer. He's put the money, the 50k, in the grit, the yellow grit. And obviously told the blackmailer to come collect her from there. I just find it very odd how he's just standing above the bridge, just waiting for the blackmailer, as if the blackmailer's not going to search their surroundings before they go to that grit. I get that Warren could have hid behind a tree or a bush or behind a wall, but the fact that he's just in plain sight above the bridge, anyone can just spot him. So I find that very unrealistic. So I feel like little things like that, you just need to kind of, make sure there are no loose ends when it comes to like that, because we want to buy things as viewers. Unfortunately, Mercedes came up, and Mercedes is all over the place. He hugged her, blah blah blah, and then I think Diane just took the money and went home, and he missed, Diane actually taking the money from the grit. So he has no proof it was Diane, in his mind he can say that it could be anyone in the split second that his attention was turned to Mercedes. And he's all over the place, and as well someone needs to take a handle on him. I don't know, I think Diane does need help, because he's out of control, and I feel like he's gonna be physically threatening, especially this Trina. She's very smart. When they were kissing in his room, he pulled her hair, and then he said some nasty stuff that he thinks that she likes a rough and whatever, and she got up and she immediately went away. Good on her. He clearly needs some psychological help, and then he called her the S word as she was leaving the house. Both Gemma and his mum died. They both witnessed the exchange. Gemma went after her, and that was it. Bit of a messy episode, I guess. I do think some things like Donny, they just need to calm down on, and also again, this whole thing with Sully, and I'm not buying it as a viewer. Froggy as well, I'm not, he's, don't get me wrong, he's a very good actor, Froggy. He can speak in a very slimy, deceiving character, but this whole thing with him and Sully being the new villains, I'm sorry, it's just not working for me. But overall, I like the episode. Everything about Hollyoaks, the filming, the scenes, the lights, everything, Christmas lights and everything. It looks very clean. Looks good. They obviously in the background they take a lot of attention. So that's what they're doing good. Mercedes is obviously, she's still hooked on the drugs that Gemma's given her. Diane's feeling guilty about the whole situation now, especially about blackmailing. Gemma's obviously more of a evil character than her, so she can cope with it. So she doesn't feel too guilty, and she's just telling Diane to hold tight, and things will work out. I'm gonna leave it there, guys. It's been a bit of a long episode review, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.